My retrospective little series here is continuing. I hope you don't mind. I really do have to have these videos up. I need them handy so I can show them to people because the channel is supposed to be marketing me as an author, alright? I'm James Craig, science fiction author. And today, my third book is kind of the outlier of my book so far. Because this is my comedy. And that's on one level, that's the outlier. The other is I was really pissed off when I wrote this. Now, if you look at this, it probably looks like something to do with video games, simulation, money. You probably wouldn't guess that it was me being pissed off about the GameStop short squeeze that happened a couple years ago, and the absolute shenanigans that went on in Wall Street to screw over retail investors. The way that they just had their thumb on the scale the entire time, that they shut things down and got the fix was in. And I, for one, lost quite a bit of money in that exchange, and it just kind of left me pissed off. You know, this was like an echo of, what was it, Operation Wall Street or whatever? You know what I'm talking about. I wasn't particularly politically engaged back then. I'm still kind of not. But I was just really upset that we had this, like, incredibly obvious case of the elites versus the plebs. And the plebs just got curb stomped over it. And I looked at that and I said, you know, I think a lot of people are going to be a little annoyed with that. I think a lot of people went through what I did. Not everyone, obviously. Not everyone is a retail investor. Most people have no money to invest with, obviously. Which is, that's a different problem. Go to another channel to talk about that. But I looked at that and said, well, hold on, that's not a full story. What is a full story? Well, Heist is. Heist can be fun. I like me a good Ocean's 11. And heists are also the kind of story where you can like look at the elements and say what makes for a good, you know, tense plot and reveal and payoff. Because, you know, they're one of the things that Brandon Sanderson has in his lectures, right? And you can pull up the movies, the classics, you know, The Italian Job, Ocean's 11. Everyone's basically just imitating those two. I looked at that and said, hey, that's a fun genre. I want to try my hand in it. And I also had, right around this time, just finished reading Small Gods by Terry Pratchett, who is a huge inspiration for me. I think Terry Pratchett is one of the best writers that you can get out there. He is on my list of I should probably read everything he's put out. And basically nobody is on that list. There's P.K. Dick and Terry Pratchett, and I think it's just those two. But if you don't know who he is, he writes the Discworld series, and they're funny as hell. In my opinion. Maybe British humor isn't for everyone, but they're just funny. And often it's actually rather clean humor too. And I didn't go for that personally. Infinite Mighty Glitch has some pretty vulgar humor. Because I got in my head that what I should do is take the inspiration of GameStop, even though GameStop's just a malicious retailer. But I was just like, hey, what else is on the news? What else is on my mind? This was around the time when Blizzard was imploding from Me Too accusations. And I'm still mad about World of Warcraft Classic. Like, I'm still mad. I went to an all-night 24-hour game on launch night for that with my friends. And they got queued slightly faster than me. You know, it was just like a few hundred spots different, turned into like a 3-hour delay. So, in 3 hours of dedicated power leveling, they got to like level 15 by the time I created my character. And guess what? You just don't catch up. So, all that hype. Like, literally, I was hyped to get in on World of Warcraft Vanilla for months with them. Because they were heavy raiders. And I was a casual player back in the day. And I was just like, hey, let's start over. Let's do this. Come on, guys. We'll be a raid guild. And then I just never got to actually play with them. So I brought that to the table in the book, and I decided that what I should do is I should set this book inside totally not World of Warcraft, even though I use that as the basic example, because everyone tried to clone World of Warcraft. Like, if you name another MMORPG, it's pretty much a clone World of Warcraft, and you know that. Like, actual good replacements with different systems only came recently. So I created this VR world called Reborn Isles 5, Riv. where the NPCs are fully sapient AIs, but they're the NPCs. They're not the players. The game is designed to reward the players. It's a completely rigged two-tier caste system between the fully human AIs running the place, staring angrily at the players that basically get all these quests and rewards and loot handed to them because they're the ones giving money to the company running it. And the entire story is told from the perspective of the AIs. And for the record, not all AIs in the system are fully aware. Like, there are monsters that are rudimentary, and everyone just kills them for loot, quests, money, whatever. But like the people in town, the people giving quests, the people operating the merchant stores and all that are basically human. But they can't succeed. Everything's been rigged, and they can't even buy property. Because the prices have gone through hyperinflation because the players want to own the property. And the players get this huge advantage from being able to get to level 100 quests. And, that's led to some problems, to say the least. So when the main character realizes that there is basically an error in the way that the contracts were issued to supply the market, the auction house, basically, he realizes that if he corners the market quickly, it's not going to be just a price spike, because obviously if you buy up all the supply for, say, an N tier PvP gear item, you can set the price. You become the price maker. That's how that works. But in this particular case, what was happening is basically a short squeeze, where someone was obligated to buy them en masse to sell back to the system. Because of contracts. Like, they had to buy it, and if they did not buy them at the price, the system would take over and buy them at whatever price is being asked for. Which, of course, was the premise of the GameStop short squeeze, was they have to return these stocks to the investment banks, but they don't own them anymore. Retail investors do, and retail investors are asking, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 for this share. And I looked at that, I was just like, that's a heist. I can totally map that into a lit RPG adventure where he has to go grind, find a little exploit with his glitches to get into sole possession of enough of this rare material that he can corner the market and cause the short squeeze and get infinite money. He can sell each one of them for the max integer value that the game can hold. And so that's the premise of the adventure right there. And, it did kind of end up more as an adventure, because it was kind of like, I decided that in order to get the diamond roses, which is, the shares, basically, he had to level up and get stronger and go on an adventure and meet other people and just kind of like classic adventure stuff. Yeah, he has to bring his team together and fight a bunch of monsters to get the items, and then go put in his sell order on the market. And after that, you gets into the shenanigans of the market, which I guess means I probably shouldn't be calling this a pure heist novel. It's a heist adventure. It's a heist adventure comedy, and at that point, I'm kind of diluting the explanation too much, and yet it's accurate. Well, you read this and you will recognize that this is a couple of people running a scam to get an immense amount of money, and they're just taking out loans and leveraging money and bringing in more resources to buy more stuff so they can run a bigger scam, bring in more people and more people, until like the actual in-earth SEC has to get involved because of currency manipulation. I had a lot of fun writing this book. A lot of fun. Unfortunately, I probably bit off more than I can chew. You've probably noticed, just from me trying to explain it, like particularly if you don't know what a short squeeze is already, me trying to explain a fictitious made-up contract for an auction house computer supply back to players and justifying why it doesn't just fabricate more. There are so many meshing cogs of the machine here that it's almost impossible to actually just explain if I didn't do something like dedicate an entire chapter to explaining how it works. And that's lame. I didn't do that because that would have been boring. That means that there isn't a particularly great explanation, and it's also a single perspective story where it's just Wolf, the main character, the tutorial zone merchant who found an opportunity to get back at those annoying players who rob him all the time. So if I had done something like include a few chapters from the CEO of the company that's in danger of imploding because of him, maybe I could have better explained things. The conversation would have been more natural, and I could have explained it at a more digestible level, maybe. I'm not particularly sure there is a better way. I just recognize that it comes across a little confusing if you try to figure out what's going on rather than just accept, hey, if I get thing, I get money because rules. Which is, I recognize that's a little unsatisfying, but good God, if you read this book and you go, oh, James, you should have done this. If you had explained it like this, it would have made perfect sense. Because it's like, yeah, I'm describing a short squeeze. Like that is an actual phenomenon in the actual stock market. That's what I'm replicating. And there is mountains of context that you can find about the actual stock market. And I'm just trying to simplify it a bit. So yeah, maybe I challenge you, reader, if you pick this up. If you have a better way to explain how that short squeeze works, let me know. You will have enlightened me, and I will say, I apologize. I was ignorant, and I was a bad writer. I should have done that. Right now, even a year and a half later, I got nothing, man. I'm coming up on 2 years since this book came out, I think. No, coming up on 1 year? God, how much time is passing? A long time. I still don't have a better way to do it. Now, if I'm looking at other things I may have scuffed, may have done wrong, some of the jokes maybe could have been funnier. Maybe I could have been less vulgar. Maybe I should have been more vulgar. Maybe I should have leaned more into the fact that, like, there's an entire plot arc about e-girls and simping and Wolf's inability to get the attention of the girl that he wants, and then just going with the attention that's thrown at him. It's my first time at a comedy novel. It's not easy. Even Terry Pratchett, his first books are not considered funny. They're not considered particularly good. It's not until he got rather deep into his career that people start going, this is the good stuff. But so because of the confusion in the rules, some of the later developments in the climax, you have to infer what's going on in the background about like there's an entire plot in here that the company is releasing a new DLC, a new expansion pack, and it's going to change the PvP meta, and a lot of people are upset because it looks imbalanced. And it's not really stated, like it's kind of glossed over that the people saying it's imbalanced and this is a disaster were paid to say that by the people trying to sell the new product, basically, and trying to corner the market on what makes it balanced, basically. Like there's stuff going on in the background with the humans that is in the background. The NPCs don't really see it. Like they don't see that there is literal legal ramifications coming down on the company for allowing this to happen. They just know money and stock prices, and the trading is freezing, and the CEO is coming in with god powers to mess with things and screw us over. And maybe that's a flaw in the story, right? Maybe I should have had other chapters, other perspectives to establish what all is going on, and this should have just been a significantly chunkier book, and it just worked in more humor. I don't think anyone would have been particularly upset about this. This was kind of just like a nice reading size, basically. But yeah, obviously, I think in the last year I've gotten better on just like the boring improvements, like the actual prose, the flow of action sequences and such. But whatever. I do want to go back and write a sequel to this. I want to write the consequences of what happened and the resulting hyperinflation in the economy, and that'll be a lot of fun. I kind of want to indulge the intersection of like ridiculous economic circumstances, but also gamer humor. You know, where like I have characters that are speedrunners and fashion players and PvP grinders and such. Like I like the gaming culture, even if I don't play as many video games as I used to when I was younger and all that. I'm still in the culture, I think. And I like indulging in it. I like exploring it. I like enthusing it and getting that onto the page. And from the reactions I've had of people reading it, I think it's definitely come across. But obviously, that does imply that your mileage will vary. Like, if you don't know how the stock market works, you're going to be a little confused here. Penalty. If you don't know, if you never played World of Warcraft or one of its clones, you're not necessarily going to understand how an auction house works, right? So, you know, the target demo is me. And every step away from me, the book's going to get a little worse. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast, I think. I understand who I'm targeting. I just can't get the word to them very well because I'm not good at marketing. Speaking of marketing, though, this is the easiest book for me to explain. It's a comedic heist set in a video game based on the GameStop short squeeze where they have to go on an adventure to screw over the auction house. To the right person that's instantaneously understood what's going on, why that's fun, why that's worth their money. And you would think that I would have taken that lesson forward and only written books that I could summarize what the marketing appeal is. My fourth book, 5 to 4, I'll have a video on that next week. I don't even know what genre it is. I can explain it. I don't know. I'll do that. I'll do its own video. Till then, though, let me know in the comments below if you ever played World of Warcraft or if you preferred one of its clones. Let me know. And drop a like. And obviously, the link to this book, which is still a damn good, funny book, will be in the description. Till then, cheers.